This video is powered by the pros at Pascal Air Plumbing and Electric. Arkansas owned, Arkansas operated. GoPascal.com.
Just going back and looking at the film, I don't know. I didn't think the offensive line blocked maybe as bad as we thought coming out, but maybe there was a problem here and there with, just having 7 real drives.
Man, I tell you what,
exacerbated.
I thought how you could convince your team of this is how we're going to win. I guess it's the old Dean Smith 4 corners. You know what I mean? Especially with the clock like it is. What was the game? 2 hours and 45 minutes. You know what I mean? Well, then you start pressing because you're supposed to win by a bunch of margin. It didn't go so well at first. Here's what I saw. We're not covering. Our fits up front have to get better. In other words, everything's getting popped out to safeties, and we're not making any of them miss either. So we've got to make safeties miss. We quit putting RPO on the back end of it. We weren't particularly throwing the ball well either, not catching it. And so at some point, Dan and I had a conversation about we're going to win the game. Let's see if we can't try to get our run game on this. And we tried several different things. We found out some things that we can do and some things that we can't do. How we could take the ball with the last 6 minutes and displace the line of scrimmage like we did and not do it at the beginning. We've got to figure all that kind of stuff out. But the bottom line is this, is that our fits aren't good at tight end. They got to get better. Our fits are not good consistently up front. They've got to get better. Our blocking on the outside is on edge. It's got to get better. Our catching game, we had 2 third downs. We dropped the ball. If we stay on the field, the game could be much different. Those things we have to get better. But after I saw that, I actually thought we played better last week than we did this week up front. But I didn't think we played too bad, actually, last week up front. This week, it's all about edges. It's about displacing linemen. And when we're in double team, the only time that we truly displaced their D-line is at the end of the game, the last 6 minutes. Those things have got to become more consistent. I think Bo has to become a more vocal leader. He's got to go. I think having Brady back will help us. But we have to get better there. We're addressing it. We addressed it last week. It may not be just a quick fix. I think where we're going in the order of how we're playing our games is going to help us with a new coordinator. And there were some mistakes, the new coordinator continued to try to figure out exactly what we do well, what we can do well, but you have to do something well. And I think our backs got to run harder.
You mentioned after the press conference as the pin and pull play where you're talking about hitting the hole. I think you're talking about second quarter.
You saw it.
Yeah. And then he kind of bounces it out. Well, later in the game, he actually was hitting it.
Made a safety miss and got 8 or 10 yards on the play.
Is that a conversation that you have? Is it like you have to trust the hole's going to be there because Limmer blew it open at about the same time, or is it you have to have patience? Is it trust or patience? What's the
what pin and pull is? You got to understand the play. You know what I mean? What pin and pull is it is running. It should guarantee you getting the ball outside the tight end. It should guarantee that because you've seen so many stretch plays that are full zone blocking plays, and they hit behind the center. I mean, that we're acting like we're stretching. Every now and then it'll hit front side of the tack. Never gets outside the tight end. And it's pin and pull is one where you're going, I'm going to get in space. Obviously you don't want to pin and pull if they're in a 9 technique. You'd rather run some kind of inside gap scheme, inside zone. But if someone's going to give you that, you want to take advantage of it. You can get out to the edge, but then it's kick out, cover. That's just what it is. So when our tackle went to kick out, we just kept trying to outrun the kick out block. Well, that's not the design of the play. And so again, it's a new play for us, but we should be better than that. We run it all the time in practice. So I think that is just trusting and understanding the play, to be perfectly honest with you.
For the questions we asked the other night about your run game, your fans have seen a team that ranked 7th in the country in rushing the last 2 years. So maybe is it too much to expect that a bunch of new linemen, a new coordinator, that you can hit at that level? I mean, you got to build up to that.
You know, it's just a different offense. I think that's whenever you go hire new coordinators, that's your biggest fear, that something that's built well and fast doesn't anymore. You know what I mean? And we've had our trouble running the ball last 2 years at times, but we've been pretty consistent, running the football. So no, I don't think that's I could promise you whatever the concern would be. No, that's not true, because their concerns a little bit more for me about different things. So, the concerns of the fans, certainly, I can promise you we want to win and have success as bad as anybody. And so that's valid. We got to fix a way. We got to find a way to fix it. I'm not sure. I think I might have said it the other night. But having RPOs on the back end of some things, it can dictate the numbers in the box. Unless we're willing to play man-to-man coverage the whole night, which our league probably will. But if you're not having the threat of throwing the ball, which we took away, then you're going to get a load of passes. And that's what happened. Then it becomes frustrating because, I said, I've never been around a team that couldn't run inside zone, and we haven't had success with it. And it's either we're not getting the movement, our fits aren't good, it's kicking outside to an unblocked safety. So all those things we went in depth with yesterday about how can we get our kids a better way of winning. And it doesn't necessarily have to be running the football, but you have to run the football to win.
So you beat BYU by 17, could have scored at the end and made it 24. So KJ talked about playing with more passion, and I may be understanding the opponent, whatever. But so your players saw a blowout on the road. Do you have to kind of warn them again? This is a different BYU team, and what's the scouting report on them?
Yeah, a hard team. Anybody who's undefeated, including us, they're hard to beat. They haven't learned how to lose yet in that season. That group of guys that's playing together haven't been beat, so they don't know how to lose. But I think the tape, to be perfectly honest with you, they're 2-0. Their tape, they play extremely hard, and then they do. They did last year. I think they're a better football team than they were last year. Big, physical team. They've got a guy at each level on defense. I think pretty, really good. And for defensive end, Chile, I love him last year. Just a hard playing kid, and then Robinson. So they've got more than that, but those are kind of standout guys for the defense. They're totally different than they were last year. They've got a guy from Weber State in, and they are multiple. And against us, because of our not having success on the ball, they don't see it. Looks, they move pre-snaps and things we've got to get ready for. But they ran odd pressure. They're a fire zone team that we have not seen this year either, where it's through 3 under 3 deep. So they're going to cause us some problems because they move so much. They blitz quite a little bit. Offensively, they're really big, really good at tackle, really good. Kingsley, again, I said it last year, but I tried to get him to Georgia. I got down to Georgia, and then they got the kids. That kid, the kid from Oklahoma State, if they have a few guys. I think those are 2 premier type tackles. And I don't know if Epps is going to be back or not, but he was hurt he's hurt 2 weeks. He's a really good player. That wide out 2, the number 2, this Chase Roberts is a really catch a lot of balls. He reminds me a little bit of R4, to be perfectly honest with you. And then, they got the quarterback transfer in from Pitt. And number 5 is a really good wide out too. So they're a stretch team. A boss. counter team. They run a lot more stretch this year than they have in the past. I think they're still trying to run the ball a little bit as well. Two teams remind me a little bit of each other. I think their defense is playing outstanding. Their offense is playing well. Their defense is, to me, really playing well, like ours. And so it's a good matchup for a big physical football team.
Ball seemed to be playing pretty confident in the second half. You know, do you feel good about his health where he's at, and then I guess the linebacker room as a whole now that Greer's back?
Yeah, health wise, he's fine. He's ready to go. We had a little problem with the tight end crossing going into the flat. We missed that twice on Saturday. But who's running well, moving well, made a nice tackle. And I guess maybe their longest play, they came down and made a tackle 20 yards down the field or whatever. But, he's just been hurt or out of the game. We've got to get him settled in, but I did think he played a fine game. Raheem Thomas been probably the most consistent that we've probably that's not back in 2 weeks. And then of course we got Greer, and Crook didn't get a chance to get in there just the way the game has been.
And it seemed like, he made another key block on the goal line. What does that say about him as a guy who, he's not getting the ball to score, but he's willing to do whatever it takes?
Well, he's our best blocker down there. And so you go, well, we're going to use him in the block. Well, if you're not using the block, what other guy are you going to use? Especially this week with Rocket being out. I'm going to have another real big guy back there, So he's a great kid, great team player. I wish we could have more success handing him the ball. And I do believe that we will in the future, but it says a lot about his character, especially all the things that he's gone through. But he has done well on the goal line, as you said. Makes some key blocks, and 23 did cool that with it.
I think just touch on it there. Rocket, is he for sure out this week, and how's he doing overall?
Rocket will be out this week, and we'll figure out, how fast he can recover. Got to get some swelling off of him, and once we do that, we'll see how fast, whether we can have him back there. I'll see that stuff.
With his turf toe, is that an injury he had in the Western Carolina game, or is it practice? Or?
No, he got it on Thursday, and late in the practice on Thursday. We thought he was going to be okay, and then he went out there and he said he couldn't push off of it. And and in all honesty, Stewart played a good game. Had one ball tied on him there, but played a good game, and it'll help us in the future with that. But I expect Newby back this week.
Coach, BYU, they scored 14 in week 1 and then more than 40 in week 2. I was curious, what have you seen on film that kind of let that offense take a step forward?
I think Sam Houston's really good. I think they're really good on defense. I think they're one of the top 20 as far as ratings go in their first 2 games. What they've played. So I think they played a pretty good defense. The first game, obviously, they have some first-time guys. The quarterback, all that kind of stuff. I thought the second game, if you look at us on offense, and we didn't hardly have any explosive plays, and explosive plays are what you need for a lot of reasons, But BYU got quite a few explosive plays through the air. They hit 83 for a long pass, and so I think the run game was better against Southern Utah. It was a lot better than the week before, but they threw the quarterback threw the ball much better game 2 than he did with the one. What he was off. They got good receivers.
And then on the flip side, in that matchup for your defense, it's been a pretty good 2 weeks. I mean, was there anything that's a surprise, or what are you most happy with the defense at this point in the season?
Well, we haven't had anybody lose behind us. I think that's, we're not giving easy points. We have had a few inmates underneath routes and things of that nature. We got picked the other night in a 3-by-1, but they end up making that bigger play for us. We were in man coverage. But I think right now we're swarming the ball well. I didn't think we tackled as well Saturday as we did the first game. We're not wrapping up. We got to wrap up. We're just trying not to break out. We got to wrap up. But I've been really proud of our defense. I put them in a bad situation. They had a punt, goal line, they stopped them. Or you might say, well, they got down there. Well, teams are going to get down there. But the two field goals in that game, they're really proud. And situational, though, I think we've been a lot better than what we have been in the past.
There's a video circulating on the internet of KJ getting Skittles after a touchdown. I don't know what's the backstory behind that. Anything?
No, I guess it's just like candy. I don't know.
It's a reward or low.
No, it ain't where. I need to find out where he's getting them from.
Sam, you've said a couple of times James Thomas has maybe been your most consistent linebacker. Like, what's he doing well? Where you make the most plays with?
He's right now. He's our most consistent tackler. Not jumping out of gaps, pretty much gap free, gap sound in there, and he's just a guy that, for those reasons, been playing pretty well.
Armstrong's been pretty good for you the first 2 weeks. Just going back to when you were trying to get in here, does anything come to mind, like the recruiting process wise, maybe?
He's just a lot better than I thought he would be. To be perfectly honest with you, he got faster. He showed flashes. Tape of all the things that we've seen here, but he's Tesla. Let's put it like this: Tesla's about what I thought he would be, and Armstrong much better than what I thought he would be. And I think it's just because of his speed, overall speed, and his ability to catch. But I think it has everything to do with what kind of person he is. He's just a hard work, great kid. Well, it doesn't matter. A lot of them, but you asked me specifically about him. He's just a real great kid that's appreciative of, playing for us, sold out, full capacity crowd and those things.
It's someone maybe playing stuff into the team every time.
Yeah, you know what's happening right now. None of them is playing very much. They've got the rotation. I'll be honest with you, I don't know who to take out of that rotation. And you got to get Nico in there somewhere too, because he can fly and does some nice things. But Kiwi is a guy that there's certainly we're talking about moving up to the ones. However, I think we had Jeff had over 30 reps, and I don't think anybody else did. Now the game was, there wasn't as many reps, but most of them were in that high 20s. Now Stu came in; he didn't have that many, but he was very disruptive. It was good to have him back as well. But he was knocking people to the right and scrimmage back. So that's going to get into somebody's reps too.
Coach got us to see the fifth line in the week and see from what he meant to in that game and 2 games back.
I think he showed up. He didn't really have any production in the first week, and I think that probably drove him a little bit as well. But he was chasing the guy. The guy run out of bounds on one of them. He just fell down on another one. But he played very physical and very hard, and seemed like he was a little bit more into the game this week than what he was last week. But he's like a kid for it.
Marion getting maybe close to being. I know he was injured for a while. Marion Harris getting maybe close to playing some and getting a look at guard. Maybe
that's where we're at with him. We pretty much put it well. They're doing a little bit of both with him. He's closer. He's closer. Yeah, I'd say you're right. I'd say the question. He's closer. I don't know that he's close enough right now to be in any type of rotation, but he's closer. Yes.
there's not any awards for gunners, but
Man,
yeah, I mean, Tyrone Brooks has really embraced that role. Just your thoughts on him, how well he gets down there, and just embracing that role when he really hadn't.
man,
And a lot of
I wish we could get his balls. Guy's a good player. But I mean, what are we at 13? What were we, 13 to 19 or something like that? But throwing the ball very much. It's hard to get a lot of catches that way. So I wish he would. I wish we could get him involved. I think he's really good. But with what you just said, I mean, he's so valuable, and this is going to be. They got a punter that's punts about 55 yards every single time, and I don't know if that's. I know he's good, without I don't know the air difference and all that kind of stuff on a punted ball, but he's really good. So Roden's got a big. I don't know if they're going to double him or not or what. Right now, people can't handle him one-on-one. He's done a really good job, and a transfer kid like that to not be getting the balls that he wants and then continue to play like he has says a lot about it. Really is.
More wide receivers are going to play like Satania too. You saw like 11 snaps, and we've seen how explosive he can be.
Yeah.
What are the thoughts on getting him more?
I don't. What you do, but Craig, then you start talking about what are you trying to get accomplished. In other words, if you go to, we need a better blocker out there. He's willing and all that, but he's not. He's not as physical as possible, and that probably cost him a few reps. Out there. But every week we have a rotation that we try to get into with those guys. So because I want to see. Nobody wanted to be 28-6, but I wanted to see some different guys. I want to see where we're at. And his reps kind of got skewed a little bit because of the quit throwing. But I think he's really talented.
Touched on it earlier about the running play that perhaps wasn't quite understood. Is that one of those things that just has to happen and be called in a game? Times you run it in practice?
No, I don't. I think it's a good question. I don't think so. I think it all depends on did you run that look in practice? Are they? Because what they did that was different than the week before is they gap moved. Before it was just they moved from a gap to head up, and then they swiped both a couple times. So I think there's some of that, on the short yardage. We missed a run through at the linebacker, things that we practiced. I don't think any of our plays are difficult, but the bottom line is you got cover and you got block. You do. And the 4th and 1 didn't really have anything. We had to run through, but we let the edge guy out there. We didn't have a guy to block it. And they came down with it further with the wide receiver. But that's a look that we hadn't seen. And worked out. He did good.
Reference to this today about the faster game, shorter game. Is your data showing that your play count is substantially lower number of plays?
Well, it is. And I don't know what we're going to do with it because we sure are getting the commercial. We're doing a good job. And I don't mean that negative. We just are. And, but the thought of using 40 seconds against a team that we're a big underdog, pretty smart, especially if you've got a frustrated team over another stuff like we were. So we discussed that today in our staff meeting. How if you decide to do that, how would you talk to your team about it? Would they believe you that this is the best way to win, or would they believe that you don't think you can win? You know what I mean? It's a fine line. But we'll read the full corners offense to perfection. And So I don't know, but we had a pretty good discussion today. So
We said you kind of told Dan, let's just establish our run game. So in other words, maybe you felt like the passing stuff was there, but you wanted to keep trying to run.
well, we weren't exactly going to catch it today, you know. And I just thought that we could turn around and with the different things we talked about, especially after halftime, that it could turn around, do some positive things. So, you know, happen. So at that point, then now you're trying to make something happen, which I should have never done. I feel like we're not just trying to get a little more money. That was good.
Keep the possibility of going on 4th and 1 at the 30-yard line. I mean, right? I mean, you don't want to say. Okay.
Well, I mean, as you saw, I went for it on 4th and 4. I've gone for it more 4th down this year than I have in my entire time here. I think. But and we've scored points off of it. I guess the first game we scored a couple. Everybody's on 4th and goal, but the other time and then we scored the other day on. I think it was 4th and 4. We scored on there, so I'm becoming a believer of it a little bit more, but not in that situation. And I asked Nate's question of the Saturday's game marks the first traditionally big name opponent for both teams. Do you anticipate both teams perhaps preparing with increased urgency compared to their first 2 game weeks? You know, what's amazing in first 2 game weeks, what's amazing is that you prepare for the first game and it's like, when is it going to get here? You know, at some point. If you compare about 9 days out, when is it going to get here? What's it going to get here? You're assuming that your guys are going to be hyped up because of the first game of the year and all that kind of stuff. Your second game of the year, I felt like there was no. We prepared. You can prepare them all you want, as urgent as you want. They have to accept that there's a reason for urgency, and then they do. And sometimes it's simply because of who you're playing. I think I forget very much to ask questions about BYU, what we did. But BYU, I know this. Last year, BYU was an urgent game. It was a must-win for us and all those type things. So it is now. And again, like I say, it's hard to beat a team that hadn't lost. Both of us have it, so some of us don't have to. But I think our kids understand the urgency of this game.
Isaac and Andrew, we talk about the contested catches they're making all the time, but to make a contested catch, there's got to be good coverage. Are you seeing the separation maybe from the receivers that you want to at this point of the season?
Well, yeah, I think so. And I don't really know if we catch a couple of those days bad, that I would go, we're not able to get over. You know what I mean? KJ threw the one into just an area that Tesla went and got. You know, but they had 200. You know. So no, I'm not too worried about that right now. I just, we caught the ball really, really well game 1, and then we had a couple of drops, that hurt us. So we just got to catch the ball. I don't think KJ's holding the ball too long back there.
Games coming up, third of the season. You have preferences. One's home and one's away. You have a preference like the home game, the away game, anything like that? Or not worried about it?
I would. It depends on who you're playing, but obviously you've got a hyped up situation, game, whatever it be. You'd like to play it at night, at home. And you'd like to play that one at 11 o'clock on the road. The only thing, it's not really a concern today, but I guess it is because it's already in my mind. Go at night, go over there at night, four in a row on the road, but that's how it goes. And who's to say what? LSU or whomever, BYU, how they're coming off of their schedule and their day and all that kind of stuff. So, but if I have my brothers up at home tonight, away 11.
BetOnline is your #1 source for all your betting needs. Get the latest odds, lines, and matchup reports for baseball, boxing, golf, and more. BetOnline continues to be the fastest and easiest way to place your wagers, including live betting and your favorite casino and card games available to play right from your phone. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and get in on the action. Remember to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, where the game starts.